Welcome to the Caddo Convos, the podcast that explores the vibrant community of businesses thriving in Caddo Office Reimagined. We're here to shine a light on the incredible entrepreneurs and professionals who make the most of our private offices, co-working spaces, and day office rentals in the Dallas-Fort Worth suburbs. Join us as we share their stories, celebrate their successes, and dive into the benefits of working in a space that's close to home but offers so much more than working from home. Let's get started with today's conversation. Today's guest is yours truly, Buddy Broyles of Blue Mic Studios and Visual Learning Solutions. On today's episode, we're going to do something a little different. I brought in my bride, Kirsten. Hello, Kirsten. And she's going to be doing the interviewing as normally I am the host of the show. So let's just start off there. Kirsten, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very
buddy?
Well. I'm glad to see you. Yes, darling. So let's start off. Take it away, if you will, to host the show. I'm now your guest.
All righty. I love that.
I enjoy it too.
What services do you provide and what differentiates you from the other people in your space?
Excellent. Great question. Well formulated. So I provide a range of digital media services. In this space, we're here in the podcast studio for a number of shows we produce, but under Blue Mic Studios is the brand. And the services we offer are basically introduction to podcasting, as in we help people tiptoe into the podcasting realm, meaning they can be a guest on one of our shows. There are two shows I host called the Caddo Convos, which is for Caddo Office Reimagined, and the Growing Your Business podcast with Buddy Broyles, which I'm the host of. And that's general audiences, general businesses. So that's one thing is, again, I call that the tiptoe, just come be a guest on the show. And then from there, we offer full podcast services, including ideating with you to come up with your brand, your goals, your audience, the type of show you want to produce, the types of guests you want to have. And we have a process for all of that, which starts with a discovery. So we help people understand what they want to do. For people that have already been doing it a little while, we make it easy. As in, we know how to produce, we have all the technology, we can fill the gap of anything they don't want to do. Because podcasting can be fun if you only do the things you like to do. So we can help with, again, the concept, video or audio, the distribution, some of the social media, the branding portions that you may or may not have established. So we help with all of that. And then what sets me apart is we basically have this office, which is kind of central Dallas. It's in South Plano, very easy to get to, and we're very affordable. You know, we're not a big company. We don't need to be a big company. We just want to serve different types of customers where they are in their podcast journey. But we also offer other types of media. So we have capabilities in this studio for a green screen, for interviews, customer testimonials, the things businesses need to help them grow in any type of online medium. We publish on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of those and more. The Growing Your Business podcast, for instance, publishes on 17 platforms. So we know how to get the media out there. And we partner with small marketing companies that need a media creation arm. So, and we're, again, from an affordability standpoint, we're definitely not the cheapest, but we're definitely not the most expensive. And we want to help people help their customers, and especially with really good messaging. So I think that's the longest answer I could give you, Kirsten. Yeah.
So with that said,
yes,
being as I heard you say, a media partner to small to medium-sized businesses.
Yes.
Why did you get started? What's your why behind all of it?
Well, why is because I've been in the media business for a long time, and I know that a well-told story created with good quality audio, good quality video gets out there. If you're missing any of those three elements, you're wasting your time. And I've seen, and we've all seen, if you consume any type of media, the stuff that you swipe away from or that you're disgusted with, or it's not answering the question you're trying to answer. If none of those elements are there, that's bad media. I don't like creating that. I've been a media producer for 35 years, and I've seen so much created and helped create so much really good stuff. I know the difference, and I know that it starts with asking a lot of questions and making sure we're doing it right from the beginning. Because a dollar wasted in that situation is difficult. So we don't want to start out by wasting people's money and time.
So doing it right from the beginning
Yes.
would imply that you have a process.
Yes. A
So
very well-defined process.
talk more about your process and maybe a customer example.
Oh, great. So we always start off with a phone call or a Zoom call, just 30 minutes of each other's time to see if A, we're the right fit at all. And we're very honest. Last thing I want to do is walk somebody down a path that isn't right for them or a path that isn't right for our business. So in that first 30 minutes, we're going to ask a lot of questions of each other and then decide from there, does that warrant a second call? That second call is a little more formulaic, as in, I've got questions I'm going to ask in more detail because we know we're probably going to work together. That gets us to a statement of work. As in this, the questions will be around, what are we doing together? What are the outcomes you want to have? What have you been doing that's working or not working? And once we have that, we send you a statement of work and we start working together. And once we start working together, there's a process, and that starts with the discovery. And that's usually a 2-hour call, depending on the project size or the goals. And that's, again, lots of questions around brand, goals, and audience. We have to know all of those. And we encourage during that call that all of the stakeholders who have some stake in the success of that project are on that call. We want to make sure all voices are heard. And I'm talking from CEO to janitor. If they have a stake in that product, if there's something important that they're trying to do, we want them on that call. And then from there, it's I'd say the standard production process, which is we start where we start with ideation, getting the brand right, where is it being distributed, and then the production, and then creating all this stuff and iterative delivery, so you can see the product we created for you as it's developed, give feedback, correction, and that's all very well defined in our contracts, our statements of work.
So you talked about having 35 years of experience in the business. You've talked about having a podcast.
Yes.
And tell us more about the journey and the evolution of your business from when you very first started to today, where you're doing podcasting, because 35 years ago, podcasting didn't exist.
That's correct. And you mentioned, so in that time, so Kirsten, from the beginning, I had my start in a small town TV station, loved it. Really enjoyed the live. There's an energy around live, right? And that's why we all tune into live, or anytime there's something live, it's happening right now, and that affects us all. So there was that was interesting to be a part of. But I really dug into what production meant. I worked with at that time a lot of very talented people. I eventually went on to work at a commercial production facility, very different type of creating media. And then when I moved to Dallas in '97, I worked with a company, a large training company. And back at that time, it was pre-internet, really. I mean, internet existed, but not in the way it does now. And it was satellite training, satellite-based. We had those big satellite dishes, and we trained on so many different networks. And so I had exposure into all these different business types. And we trained from firefighters to policemen to automotive. Like, they had a channel piped into their stores, at the dealership, and it was daily training on all of these different types of techniques. But behind all of that, excellent training and excellent televisions requires a staff of people who know how to execute. And I'm talking producers, designers, project managers. All of this there's a whole business behind that. And I was in the trenches on all of that for years, which led me in the I'd say around 2013 or so, I really wanted to be in my own business. So I started a training business in 2015 after I'd gathered enough customers and been in the business long enough to really do well there. And since that time, almost 10 years now, I've run a training business called Visual Learning Solutions, which I still run. And we help a wide range of customers. And I'm talking in our portfolio from Pizza Hut to 7-Eleven, making video-based training for them, all the way down to just mom and pop stores, some dentistry, you name it. Like anything you can think of, I've created media for. Now, where we created the podcast studio was initially just as a lead generator. Because in podcasting, you can have conversations with people that you might not have ever been able to sit down and have coffee with. And I learned that when I was producing a show around 2019, 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. But I was producing a show called Motivated Learning. You can search for it now. It's there on YouTube, Motivated Learning by Visual Learning Solutions. It has me. I don't have a beard. I look very different. It basically looks like my younger brother at this point. But I produced about 30 episodes. They were live webcasts on LinkedIn. And that was my first quote unquote podcast stuff. And I knew the value then because the people who came and talked to me live on that show were people that probably wouldn't have picked up the phone if I called. But because I was offering them a podcast, a way for them to grow their brand, they found that very intriguing. And so they jumped at that opportunity. And so after I produced those, another door opened recently that a podcaster, a fellow podcaster I didn't know at the time, but he had passed away and he was producing a lot of podcasts. And I happened to mention to a group that I produced podcasts because I had. And someone approached me quickly and said there was a big pair of shoes that needed filling. And so I'm here at the Caddo office Reimagined. A gentleman named Mark Friedman was producing their show. And he had passed away, and they needed their show to take back off. And I've been producing the Caddo Convos ever since. And I'm the host of the show, and I produce the show. And that's led to Blue Mike Studios being created because I found, one, I enjoyed it. It's fun. Two, there's a need. There's a need for these small businesses and medium businesses, large businesses, to have a voice out there in the marketing world to spread their message. And an example is I have a real estate team, and as soon as their show is launching this month, they had started in their kitchen doing a podcast, sitting side by side, and it's exactly how you imagine it. It's lit like a kitchen is lit. It sounds like a kitchen. It's a single microphone. They're looking at a laptop, and the content's good. These are two experts in the real estate market, but the sound is the video quality is Plus, they didn't enjoy doing that in their kitchen. So I met them. They'll be sitting in a studio, one of our studios that looks exactly or very similar to this, and producing really great content. They're the experts, and their show will be in the show notes. So if you scroll down, as soon as their show's published, I'll make sure to tag them. And one of our products, as I mentioned earlier, we have different product types. One of them is a 26 episode series, as in we help you produce 26. Why 26? That's 6 months. If you're going to do anything and do anything well, especially in the podcasting area, you kind of need to commit. It is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't grow a brand overnight. So if you're going to do it, we ask people, basically, how serious are you? And if you're serious enough to do 26 episodes, then you're the right fit for us. Otherwise, go back to just being an occasional guest, right? But and that's okay too. But I'm looking forward to launching their show, and those are the types of customers we want to host. Kirsten, is because it leverages all of the capability of my entire tenure in the media business to help do something that is relatively simple. Podcasting is absolutely simple until you look at all the things that have to be done and realize I want to do. If there's 10 things, I'm good at one, and I only want to do the other. Well, we want to fill the rest of the gaps and make just the fun stuff, the stuff you want to do. So again, I'm really great at long answers. And everyone knows this. If you listen to either of the shows that I host, I ask the questions. So I don't really talk a lot. So Kirsten is getting, and you are getting the full brunt of what happens when we ask Buddy questions. Well, that's the answer now.
So you've talked a lot about the pretty vast evolution that your business has gone through, and honestly, your own career, right? And so it sounds to me like as you were developing your career and going through all these experiences, and when you launched your business initially, your goal wasn't so much to be delivering a product so much as a service to other business owners that I would kind of call being their media partner. Whatever that looks like, whether that's podcasting, whether that's training, whether that's marketing, etc. So given that you have a pretty broad breadth of services that you can provide, or the way that you can partner with these businesses, is there something in particular that speaks to you and that brings you the most enjoyment? Like, what is it that gets you pumped up at the end of the day about what you do?
That's a really great question. I really enjoy doing quality media. Anytime we can do something of quality, that's great. But I also want it to do good, and good is by a broad definition is I want it to be impactful. I want it to execute on what we set out for the media to do. As in, if you're trying to tell a story about your business, I want it to be a well-told story about your business that reaches the people who want to do business with you, right? And in my history, everyone who has a reasonably long career has done some things that they didn't enjoy as much and things that they do. And when I've had these conversations and sat down with as many people, I mean, I'm several, probably 100 podcasts and video type products of this format deep, so many now. What's really been enjoyable is just having conversations and seeing and hearing the perspectives that other people have, and the commonality that we all kind of share is that it doesn't matter who's in this chair and who's opposite me. They usually have about 80% alignment, that they are just trying to help their customers. They're trying to do good by their employees. They have a mission and vision that, we're all doing in business for a reason. The reason isn't money. That's one of the reasons, but the real reason is we want to enjoy our lives as professionals, and we want to have the same outcomes, and I want to be aligned with that. And again, what gets me out of bed in the morning to do this type of thing is getting to meet the people and helping them achieve those goals through these types of conversations. We know that podcasting is really, if you think about it in comparison to, say, YouTube channels, there's hundreds of millions of YouTube channels. And podcasting has been around since the iPod was created, and that's where the name more or less became. But there are only, there are less than, I believe, 10 million active podcasts. So if you see the disparity between these two, there's lots of room for growth, and not every podcast has to last forever. Right? You could do 10 episodes on something very specific that helps people get the message of what you have. It's like running a commercial campaign. If it's effective, I mean, there are commercials we all remember that have been around. It's the same ad, more or less, that sticks. So if your message sticks and you're still doing it, that's how you can leverage it. But it doesn't. You don't necessarily have to do this type of thing forever. It just has to be effective.
So let's talk a little bit more about what you just said with regard to sitting down, having a conversation, leveraging the medium of podcasting. What exactly is the benefit to the individual business owner? Why would they, what is it about podcasting? You touched on this a little bit about, having access to an audience, somebody wearing an earbud, listening to podcasts. I mean, you see me do that all the time at home. But what is it that's so unique about it versus all the other mediums that you've used in your past career?
Right. Well, the difference in podcasting is we are not polished. If you're listening to this podcast, you can tell Kirsten and I did not rehearse. Yes, while some of it's edited, we're two people having a conversation. It's coming from the heart. It's recorded, but it's live as we're doing it. And these are human conversations that we're not reading from a teleprompter. We're being who we are. And by using this to leverage for your business as a media, you're sharing your years of expertise, and it comes through. We are very perceptive. We can hear when someone's being honest, when they care. That inflection, it comes through. We're listening for those cues, and we're listening for someone who we resonate with, as in that person makes sense to me. And therefore, that's a person I want to have a conversation with because maybe they can help me. Let's say that I'm a physician and I'm sitting here. You want to work with a physician who gets you and you get them. One way to interview them, if you will, is by listening to a podcast they've been on. If they sound genuine, if they sound like they put their patients first, or they can help with this very specific illness, then that's attractive.
So it's building trust.
It's building trust in a very easy to consume way. And you as a business person, you want your people to be able to find you. And you want them to vet themselves either in or out if they're going to be a good customer for you. Well, once they hear you and they hear you in a conversation, almost in a candid format, it's easy for them to decide.
Well, there's a lot of research that says customers do most of their buying journey
70% before they ever pick up the phone.
Ever select somebody, right? So you've got an audience that's maybe a customer before they even realize that they're a customer. Yeah. I had a boss once tell me that you are interviewing for your next job every day and you don't know it. I would say that's the same thing with podcasting and businesses, right?
Absolutely.
You are potentially tapping into customers that never even knew that they were looking for you.
Absolutely. And if you're not creating this type of media, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Your business may have other ways they advertise, word of mouth, other things. Maybe you take referrals. But if you're not producing a podcast and your direct competitor in the same market is, and they Google the question, they type in the question that they need solved, and you fix it, you can take care of that. But you don't have that piece of media out there. And I'm not talking FOMO. I'm saying you want to make sure that if they're doing that 70% before, that they find you. If they're typing in FAQs, they find you. And this podcasting is the easiest type of media to be a genuine person and out there for them to find very easily. It's so easy to publish this stuff once you've created. Each podcast can make like 20 or 30 of those silly little 30-second reels that you can publish on all of your platforms, and we do. And they do get seen, they get heard, and people have commented that they find me that way. But again, if you're not doing it, then they're not finding you. It's dead air. They're hearing advice and other things from someone else entirely. And they're not finding you. They can Google you, but we've all gone to people's web pages. That tells me that you're an existing business and here are the services you offer. But, will I pick up the phone? You'll never know, right? So that's why a podcast is mainly just to make sure that if you're searching for the services I have, you're going to find me talking about it and talking about my why. And best case scenario, you're going to find me and my staff or other people who have worked with me in this type of medium, and that'll reinforce that reason for that you should pick up the phone.
What do you tell people who are intimidated, either by being on camera, talking into a microphone, being interviewed, developing content? All of that can be very intimidating.
Absolutely.
To somebody who's brand new. And I just happen to know from our conversations that you've had several people in the interview seat who've never done this before.
Correct.
And you've gotten some interesting feedback.
Well, I'll tell you, if you go to Blue Mike Studios on Google, on our Google business page, and read our reviews, the one consistent thing is how I made this, or through what we do in our process. People were nervous, and then afterwards, it was so easy. I made them feel comfortable, and that's part of, one, having 35 years experience in the media industry. Two, helping people understand that there may be cameras, there may be microphones, but we are two people having a conversation. And when it comes to your business or something you're passionate about, there are no gotcha questions. You know the answers, because if you've ever done any marketing, you've had to put all this information together and throw it out there and hope it sticks. These are things you know. And the podcast, like in so many networking events that a lot of people go to, you get 30 seconds to try and squeeze your entire business into a 30-second box. In a podcast, you've got maybe 30 minutes to talk about the things, again, the answers you're passionate about. You already know your why. There are no gotcha questions here, and it's two people talking, right? Now, if you ever tip your toe into the live stuff, that requires rehearsal. But again, that's what makes you comfortable. But working with a professional like myself or other people in the industry, we know how to make sure, for the most part, I mean, some people, this isn't right for everybody, but most people will figure out that we're just two people talking. We're just sitting down having a conversation. And the miracle of editing takes care of a lot of things for all of us, right? And also on my podcast, including if you're listening, this is included. When we host somebody, we send them a review copy first. Last thing we want to do is surprise somebody. And sometimes there's a technical issue, as in or a misspeaking. We had an attorney one time misquote a certain dollar value. And it was as simple as having them come right back into the same studio. We record the question, we fix it, we air it. So it's about being people first. If we're people first, and we remind ourselves that we know what you're talking about. If you're invited into a podcast, you're being invited because you are an expert in something, and it's usually the thing you care about the most. If it's not your family, it's your business, right? So that's usually how that comes to pass, and people walk out of our podcast studio feeling better. And the other thing I failed to mention was we like talking about ourselves. That's why people go to therapy. They want to get whatever's inside out. When people sit down and want to hear you, want to hear your why, your values, what drives you, the same questions you're asking me, Kirsten, you really get to do some introspection. You get to express it, and you feel good about it, because usually by the time we're done talking, you've got to say a lot of really great stuff, and you feel like you've been heard. And then when I walk my guests out, it's almost like we had a therapy session, because I really want to know. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know your why, your values, and so on. And that's part of what podcasts do versus any other marketing tool, is you get to be heard in the way that you would normally speak your passion.
So let's go back and touch on one thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to merge two questions together.
Great.
You talk about connecting as humans.
Yes.
And in this day and age, with the popularity, rising popularity, honestly, of AI, and you mentioned, Googling, right? And trying to find, as a client, trying to find content and media. The thing that stuck with me about when you're talking about podcasting with your customers is that I recently heard a quote where somebody said, in a world of AI, being more human and building connection is what's important. So take that context, and then I'm going to wrap that in with, how does Caddo Reimagined help with that?
Yes.
Why Caddo, and how does that help?
Great question. Yeah, and I'll tie Caddo Office Reimagined. That's where our studios are located. A couple things. AI is a tool, and I've had several people, Nathan Brown, Larry Roberts. If you look back on the Growing Your Business podcast and on the Caddo Office Reimagined, we've had some AI people in here, and the consistency is that AI is a tool, that it does not replace an actual human interaction. And if you and I try to convert this conversation into a scripted AI voice-overed conversation, the humanity that, again, people are putting this right into their ear, we hear it. We know what humans sound like. And I think everybody out there has seen or heard some AI calls. You've been robocalled or whatnot. The moment you pick up the phone, within a reasonable amount of time, most of us can perceive that that is not a person, right? And the first thing I feel is I'm a little bit offended, because they're thinking I should talk to their AI tool. And we all, if you ever, especially customer service, and this happens, and I get it. It's a useful tool to streamline, but it doesn't replace the conversation you and I are having right now. And when it comes to, say, Caddo Office Reimagined, that's what they're trying to do. Is their mantra is work near but not at home, right? They're trying to create communities, because these small communities are the foundation of our entire world, right? Is these situations where we can walk through the hall and see somebody we know. And in a podcast, we're two people that are getting to know each other, so we can share that message with other people. We're being more human, and AI will never catch that. Now, it'll trick us, and it's going to get better in the coming years, where it absolutely will sound like two people having a conversation, and it may trick us, but that won't replace Buddy and Kirsten being actual people having a conversation about what they think is important in their lives. So it's the podcasts, as soon as it all switches to AI somehow, I think that's when people will switch it off, because it's no longer genuine. We all like the genuine article.
So early in the conversation, you talked about the numerous platforms
Yes.
that you use for publishing. And you listed a few of them. So let's flip the script a
Sure.
little. I think you said that early.
Yes.
When we started this podcast. Let's flip the script and say...
As if there were a script.
and say, if I'm a customer and I'm looking to start a podcast,
Yes.
training services, I need a media partner, how do I get in touch with you?
Great question. So we have two websites available to you: Visual Learning Solutions, just visuallearningsolutions.com, and just check the show notes. I'll put those there. And then BlueMikeStudios.com. So that's the easiest way, and both of those have contact info, intake forms, and so on. And then you can call. My cell phone number is listed just about everywhere. It's 214-924-7207. You will get me. If you don't get me, then I'll call you back. That's the best way to do that. But reach out there, and then we can direct you in the direction that you want to be. And like I said, it's early in the conversation. A 20 to 30-minute phone call is going to answer a lot of questions for both of us, whether we're a good fit or not. And I'm willing to give that time for just about any customer who will make the time to have a good conversation with me. And then the other, if you reach out to Blue Mike Studios, if you're a business, if you want to tiptoe into podcasting, we can have that 30-minute conversation I just mentioned right here doing a podcast. Because I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, and those answers will tell me as a business person, is this somebody I can help, right? Based on the things I know about you, your passions, your motivations, the type of products you do, the types of customers you want to serve. And then you get a podcast, and we have very reasonable pricing for what I call the tiptoe of being on the show. You basically sponsor your own show. And going back to the platforms, Kirsten, Growing Your Business is published on 17 platforms. We pay more for that, but we publish more or less around the world because, one, it's available to wherever they speak English, or, as you know, AI can translate to another language, so we publish everywhere we absolutely can. A bit of it's overkill. There's no reason for this local business necessarily to publish in India, but by last estimates, there are 300 million people that speak English. Why not share this wonderful information with them as well? So, we are in the business of getting the message out, and that's what we do with both businesses.
So one parting question.
Yes.
Final thoughts. Anything that you want to leave
Sure.
the listener with, and anything we haven't covered?
Well, I want my audience to find me. I want the people that want to work with me, find me. If anything I've said or anything you discover on me while searching for me that it doesn't fit you or your brand, that's great. There's someone who's going to fit you perfectly. I want to work with people that I understand me, and we're going to work well together. Otherwise, we don't have to waste each other's time. But I'm very passionate about what I do. I enjoy it so much. I've been doing it for a very long time, and I've helped a lot of customers, big and small. A lot of people help get their brand message out or just tell their story. So that's what I want to do. And if I can help you do that, let's have that first conversation.
That's really great. This has been a wonderful conversation.
It absolutely has.
I happen to be a fan of yours personally, but
Thank you
for inviting me to be your guest host, and thank you for being the guest interviewee.
Excellent. It's been a pleasure, Kirsten.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us today on the Caddo Convos podcast. A huge shout out to our incredible network of members for making our community vibrant and supportive. If you're looking to boost your productivity and reduce the isolation of working from home, consider joining us at Caddo Office Reimagined. Our spaces are designed to meet your evolving needs, support remote work, and foster a sense of community that's hard to find at home. Whether you're a startup aiming for growth, a freelancer seeking a professional setting, or a company looking to optimize resources, Caddo offers a perfect blend of flexibility and innovation. By joining us, you'll be a part of a dynamic business ecosystem that helps you thrive. For more information, visit caddooffices.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Caddo Convos.